What's up, people, and welcome back to the dungeon for another spoilercast episode of Stranger Things in Review. We've been gone for a while. It's been years, and these kids are grown. They're like 30 now. Not really, but pretty close. But it's always funny to me when they cast, 20-something-year-olds to play high school students. But it's fine. But yeah, we're back. We're back in Hawkins. I kind of thought at first that it was like, I don't know, a month or two later. No, it's like over a year later, apparently. That's pretty crazy. I guess that kind of lends itself to helping to explain why the kids are grown since we last left them. Because, teenagers, they can grow a lot in a year and a half. Initial thoughts and opinions. So far, I like it. We've got the first 4 episodes, and I'm in. I'm more in with what they're doing in the story than I have been in quite a while. I'm a whole lot more interested in this so far than I was in seasons 3 or 4. The whole gang, and they kind of all are a big united front, a big gang, a big team, organization, a rebel alliance, if you will, because just so you know, major Star Wars vibes in this final season, but we'll get there. They kind of all are, as you come to expect in a show. You can't keep a huge group together. So you gotta splinter them off, you gotta fracture them, and you gotta get them these ones over here and these ones over there, but they may all be separated, but they've all got the same one goal that they're trying to accomplish. So I really like that. It doesn't seem as like jumbled up and convoluted, not as busy and messy as the last couple seasons have felt. Like I said, we've only got the first 4 episodes so far, so it's kind of hard to pick up on exactly what the Duffers' obvious inspirations were for the season. I've picked up on Warriors and Red Dawn vibes, but interesting enough, Vecna in this one feels more like Pinhead from Hellraiser than Freddy Krueger. He's not invading people's dreams, at least not yet. I mean, I don't know. I guess he is. He's appearing to these kids somehow. He is preying on small children, so I guess that fits into the Freddy camp. But I don't know. It felt more like, especially one of the final scenes in the 4th episode. It felt more like a Hellraiser scene than a Nightmare on Elm Street. But anyway, I don't know. We'll see. It usually takes me viewing the entire season and usually watching it more than once to really pick up on what their obvious inspirations were for each season. But yeah, it's good. I'm liking it. There's very few things that I'm rolling my eyes at. For a change. Argyle is gone, so I'm thankful for that. I don't know. I just didn't need that Cheech and Chong, always stoned, bumbling idiot comic relief character, and I don't know. Like, this is Frodo and Sam taking the ring into Mordor. Like, this is we're in here. We're in the trenches. We're getting into it. Like, we don't need, Stony Baloney Bill over here token up every other scene. I found it annoying, but yeah, I mean, so far it's good. That's my basic surface level initial thoughts and feelings and opinions, and now we're gonna hop into full-blown spoiler territory. I've not watched it more than once, so I don't have it memorized as well as I did the other seasons, but I want to review it as it's coming out. I don't want to wait till it's all out and it's old like yesterday's news. So I'm gonna just kind of give a quick bullet points rundown of the plot so far. All right, so we kick things off with a flashback scene. We've got young Will over there in the Upside Down, hanging out in Fort Byers, back in season 1. He's laying there and he's singing to himself, and he's freezing because it's real cold over there. And it's that scene where he hears the Demogorgon prowling around outside his little shack, and we get to see that scene play out. We didn't get to see it back in season 1. Like, he heard the noise and it broke through the wall, and that was all we saw. But in this, it keeps going. It comes crashing through the wall, and he shoots it right in the face, because I guess he took that gun with him when he got yanked over there to the Upside Down. Never really thought about that. But yeah, I guess he was holding it when Demogorgon grabbed him, so he ended up with it. But we all know that Demogorgons are very bulletproof, so even though he shoots it right in the mouth, it just ticks it off. Just makes it angry. So he throws the gun down and takes off running. This guy takes off after him. And they're running, and he starts climbing up a tree. Thinks he's safe, and Demi comes walking along, and he finds him. He's an expert tree climber, and I love the movement of the Demogorgons in this season. Like in the first season, I'm sure there were budget constraints, so Demi, he just kind of slowly walks, more like Jason Voorhees. But in this one, they're just like rabid apes on crack. They're just bebopping and jumping and like ninjas clawing everything up. It's great. But anyway, this thing starts up the tree after him, and it's just about to get him. And so Will tries to jump over to the next tree across from him. Doesn't work out too well, so he slips and falls, and he does that fun thing that you see in cartoons. I know it happened to Homer Simpson several times, but just falling down the tree and hitting every single branch on the way down, and just kind of doing like cartwheels on the way down. Just anyway, he hits the ground and he gets grabbed. And the next scene, we see Demi dragging him into the the school, I guess. I don't know, dragging him into somewhere. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the school. But throws his body down, and it kind of bows down a little bit as it backs away. And then we see Vecna come walking out of the shadows, and he walks up, and he slimes Will to the wall, and he just violates him real good with some of those vines, and shoves a thing down his throat, and it's all very awkward and uncomfortable. But he talks some smack to him. He's like, finally, we can begin. And starts pumping goo into him. And that's it. We get our opening credits. We get that song that just always slaps. It hits harder than Mike Tyson back in the day. And I've talked to other people about the show, and they skip the credits. I have never once, just a me thing, but I have never once skipped the opening credits of this show. Even I think I've watched the first season 3 times. I've watched the second season 4 times. I watch the opening credits every single time because it's great. Love the song. I love the title treatment. It's just awesome. And I don't think it would feel the same if you didn't get those opening credits. But anyway, we get them. And yeah, I'm gonna get some of this stuff out of order, so just bear with me. But I'm gonna explain it all, everything that happens, but it might be a little out of order and a little bit unorganized, but you'll get the gist. So we hop over to the Wheelers, and everybody's living there. Like the Byers crew, they're there. because, you know, the law is after them. Also, they sold their house. So, you know, when they left at the end of season 3. So they kind of moved back to Hawkins with nowhere to live. So they're all living with the Wheelers. And it's a funny opening scene here where it kind of reminded me of Home Alone when they're all rushing around that morning when they overslept and they're trying to get everything together and it's just complete chaos. But yeah, they're all trying to get ready and get to school, and Joyce apologizes to Mrs. Byers and she's like, sorry, you know, I'd help, but reasons. And Wheeler's like, I don't worry about it. And the dad walks up, and we love the dad so much. He's such an important character, and I'll kind of get to that a little later as to how much we as the audience and also the characters in the show care so much about Mr. Wheeler. But anyway, he shambles up and he's like, so how long are they gonna live here? And she's like, don't worry about it. So they're all going to school, and they're going here and they're going there, and they're chit-chatting about crawls. They do things called crawls, and we don't know what that is yet, but we'll learn about it here in a little bit. We hop over to the local radio station where Robin is working. Her and Steve, they're over there, and they're the DJs, and they're using this whole thing as kind of a cloak and dagger way of operating a secret underground resistance, because everybody else in town has been told that it's just, you know, your typical natural disasters type baloney where earthquakes and this and that and weather balloons and swamp gas and you know, don't worry about that obvious UFO over there, that's just a satellite, ma'am. But they're using this radio station to communicate with the whole gang, and they're using code words and stuff to organize their whole operation. And the government is camped out inside the courthouse, the one that looks just like the one from Back to the Future with the giant clock and everything. Government's over there, and when they hear about the military guys, I don't know, we'll call them the baddies. But when they hear about them planning a trip into the Upside Down, because there's just a permanently open gate, and they're taking all kinds of goods in there, truckloads full of supplies and things on a regular basis. And so when they do that, the resistance, we'll call them, sees the opportunity to sneak up in there, because they're looking for Vecna, still out there looking for V, because you know after they shot him full of buckshot and Molotovs and blew him out a window, kind of like that final scene in the original Alien where Ripley shoots the Xeno in the chest with a harpoon gun and it goes flying out the window, kind of like that. But anyway, they never found the body, so they assume he's still alive, so they're sneaking up in there, and because otherwise, you know, all of this would be shut down by now. The gate wouldn't be there, all the things wouldn't be horrible, the Upside Down very well could just not exist. So they assume he's still alive. So every time the government goes up in there, Hopper, because he's ex-military and he's just a sneaky, rebellious dude, he manages to hop on one of the trucks and sneak on over there, and he uses that time to kind of snoop around the Upside Down version of Hawkins looking for Vecna. They've done this, I think they say like 30 some odd times, maybe more, I don't know. They've been doing it for a while, and they've not found squat. And some of the gang is like, we need just, you know, this is stupid and pointless. We need to just give up. He's dead. And others are like, shut up, you're stupid. He's not dead. We gotta kill that guy, or else bad things are gonna happen. The radio tower kind of goes on the fritz, and they get kicked off the air, and Robin and Steve are freaking out, trying to figure out what to do. So Steve, you know, he's just a meathead, so he calls Dustin, because Dustin is the, you know, he's the brains of the operation. He's the egghead, So he calls him up, asking him what to do, how to fix it, and Dustin gets real kind of pissy, kind of uppity and angsty. I mean, I get it, you're a teenager. Angst is kind of what y'all are about, but he's basically like, you're gonna have to figure out how to do this stuff, Steve. Like y'all are gonna have to figure out how to survive and do things without me. I'm not always gonna be around to save the day and fix your problems. And kind of feel like maybe that was a little foreshadowing. That little comment. I'm not always gonna be around. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Dustin's changed. He's got quite the personality problem. I kind of feel like he's manifesting Eddie in a way. Just trying to carry around that troubled teen, I don't give a flip, tough guy vibe. He gets to school, and Jason the jock, he may be gone, but his crew isn't. The jocks are still there, and they're still, they're still a-holes, we'll say. They're just like Johnny Lawrence and his gang in Karate Kid. They're the bullies that an 80s story has to have. So they come up and they're picking on Dustin and they're talking smack to him, and he turns around and he mouths off right back, and it's like, whoa, this is not the same Dustin. What are we doing? So like I said, I'm probably gonna leave some stuff out, and I'm gonna kind of jump all over the place, but I'm gonna hit the main points that matter. So Will starts having new weird problems. He starts to see things, not like the now memories from season 2, but like he sees through the eyes of the Demogorgons as they're attacking people and they're killing people and they're doing stuff. And that's new and weird. And he starts feeling weird sensations and getting like spinning and getting dizzy, and he comes to realize that when he is in close proximity to the hive mind, follow me here. So like on the other side, on the upside down, if there's any part of the hive mind that's close to where he is in the real world, he can feel it and sense it and see it and tap into it. More on that later. Demogorgons start showing up and causing problems. Hopper gets over there to the other side. The military convoy that he's hitchhiking on, it gets stopped, and all hell breaks loose. There's a ruckus, and Demogorgons have showed up, and they're killing everybody. And so the truck that Hopper's on crashes, and he survives, and he gets off, and he's just marooned. He's stuck. He's trapped over there on the other side with no way to get back, and bad things are coming. I believe, if I remember right, on the other side, in the real world, a Demogorgon shows up at the Wheeler's house and kicks the door in, beats the hell out of Mom and Dad, Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler. The dad just doesn't even put up a fight. He gets slapped hard. He's just down for the count. He's out pushing up daisies, as they say. Not dead yet, but might as well be. But anyway, Mrs. Wheeler, she stands her ground. She gets between the Demogorgon and little Holly. Remember Holly? The little sister with the blonde pigtails? Well, she's all grown up now. And she sounds like she's being voiced by a 58-year-old woman. But yeah, this thing's after Holly. We don't know why yet. But Mama's not having it, so she gets between them. She takes a wine bottle, which she polished off earlier. That was pretty funny. Her and old Mr. Wheeler aren't doing so hot. And she's drinking all her troubles away, because we know that, nothing fixes your problems like getting good and loaded. But anyway, she breaks the bottle, and she just starts stabbing the Demogorgon, stabbing it in the mouth and the collarbone, and going ham on it. And it might be bulletproof, but this wine bottle does a number on old Mr. Demi. But he finally gets tired of all that, and he slaps her down, smacks her down real good. And he grabs Holly, and he rips a hole in the wall, because they can just bebop back and forth between the real world and the upside down just anytime they want. Pretty cool party trick to have in your back pocket. But he does that right about the time that Nancy and Eleven show up. Eleven's not supposed to be, out above ground, out where cameras and stuff, or bystanders or people with eyes can see her, because they're still looking for her. Military's still out there looking for her, and she's breaking the rules, and Hopper's not going to be too happy with her. But they show up, and Mrs. Wheeler's laying there bleeding all over the place, and she's like, "It took Holly," and Nancy's like, "11, go!" And so she takes off, and she runs, and she jumps through the hole in the wall, and now she's over here on the upside down. Also, we got like a training montage scene earlier that was like, I don't know, felt like a Rocky or a Rambo movie. It's pretty funny, like her running around using all her powers, like almost like kind of flying in a way, just mind power punching pumpkins all over the place. It's pretty cool. She's trying to nail down this specific time to get it all done, and she's always trying to beat her time and trying to be good enough that Hopper will let her come with him when he goes on these crawls. But of course, he loves her and he wants to protect her, and he keeps telling her no. She keeps getting pissy because he keeps telling her no. It's the typical parent, teenage kid, butting of the heads that always happens. But anyway, circumstances happen. Things go down, and she ends up over there anyway. So they meet up, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "Holly, thing took Holly. It's we gotta save her." And he's like, "You can't be here. This is all bad. I gotta keep you safe." And she's like, "Shut up, you're old." But anyway, the military, they're all over here, and also Sarah Connor, she's here too. She's like a doctor that's running the whole operation. They got like a whole operation set up over here. They just got like labs set up and all kinds of stuff, and she's doing all kinds of experiments, and she's dead set on her military guy. We'll call them army men. She's dead set on her army men finding 11, and she's you get out there and you get her. And I don't care what it takes. You find her. And so they're looking for Hopper and 11. They're following the trail, trying to find Holly, and they hit a literal wall. There's just a big wall made of meat and vines and all sorts of unsavory, gross things. And of course, Hopper starts trying to stab it, like, because he's just a caveman with a stick. And 11's trying to mind power an opening, and it's just neither one. It's just not working. It's not working out. So they take a step back, and they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do. And that's when the military shows up, and they've got trucks, and they've got weird gadgets on top of the trucks that emit some sort of I don't know if it's a sound, or they put out some sort of energy that completely wipes 11's powers and puts her on her ass. Like, just knocks her. It's kind of like kryptonite to Superman. Whatever these things are, knock her out of the game. And so Hopper hides her behind a broke down car and I think like a billboard. And they can hear her over there like crying and squealing and making all kinds of racket. So they start moving toward her, and Hopper has a whole Rambo scene here where he just puts his military skills to work, and he's shooting them and throwing grenades and doing all kinds of cool shit. But yeah, Holly, she's over here hanging out with Henry. He's I don't know if he's took her into some very weird stuff going on here. A lot of unknowns that I'm sure they'll explain. But so I don't know if these are memories. I don't know if this is some sort of dream world, or he's cast in some sort of illusion or what. But his human self, Henry, and he's got her at this big fancy house, his childhood home. And he's like, you just hang out here. You're going to stay here now. I'm going to bring some friends for you to play with. And we're all going to be here and be happy together. And I'm going to stop the monsters. And she's like, okay, that sounds pretty great. And he's like, I'm going to leave for a little while, but I'll be back. And he's like, don't go outside. And especially those woods over there. Don't go in the woods. So she finds like a note or something that says, come find me. And it's got like a map. And so, of course, she does what she was told not to do. She goes for a fun little hike, little adventure, and makes her way to a cliff, like a big cliff face, like the Grand Canyon's just here all of a sudden. And there's a cave in the cliff, and so she sees movement, and she takes off running, and whatever the movement was takes off chasing her, and I don't know if she falls down or what, but she's taking a time out for some reason or another, and the thing chasing her shows up, and camera pans up, and we see that it's Max. She's still alive, kind of, sort of, like, very weird. And she takes her back to the cave. She's showing her little hideout. She's been there all this time. She keeps trying to make it back to her body. She got real close one time because Lucas hasn't given up on her. He keeps going to her little hospital room and playing her favorite Kate Bush song. And that's like a compass. She keeps using that to find her way. And she almost gets there in just a heartbreaking scene where she's almost there. There's a hole floating in the air. It looks kind of like the Stargate. And she's almost there, and the song stops, and the hole closes. Because, it's a cassette tape, and they only play for so long, and you gotta stop it and rewind it, and it's a whole inconvenient thing that happens. But she's talking to Holly, and she's like, we're gonna work together, we're gonna figure this out, and we're gonna get out of here. Teamwork! And Holly's like, cool, sounds pretty great. 11 and Mike had just a real small scene, hanging out, sitting on top of a roof before all of this. And they're just kind of chit-chatting about things, and she asks him, like, what happens after they win, after they save the day, after they stop Vecna, and the Upside Down is gone, and everything goes back to whatever normal is. What happens then? And he's like, I don't know. I guess we live happily ever after. And she's like, really? Do we? It kind of seems weird about it. So that was a weird scene. Let's see. Nancy and Jonathan are not doing good at all. Things just could not keep getting more and more awkward. And Steve's not helping. He just keeps stepping on Jonathan's toes. They keep competing for Nancy's attention, and it's funny and also really pathetic. And she's not having it. She's getting annoyed by it too. Also, for some reason, they put her in charge of all of it, the whole operation. For some reason, Nancy's calling the shots. Still kind of confused on that one. Like, even Hopper, like, why? Who put her in charge? And also, why? Kind of weird, but okay. They have they've turned the mystery wagon, the Scooby-Doo minivan, the party van, like the Turtles party van thing. They turned it into some sort of techie radar vehicle. Dustin rigged up some sort of thing that allows them to track signals, and they're gonna shoot a Demogorgon with this tracker, and then even when it bounces over to the Upside Down, they can still follow its location in the real world. Kind of crazy and MacGyver-ish and cool. Kind of into that. But yeah, Dustin and Steve keep fighting and arguing and being catty with each other back and forth like an old married couple. It's really weird. And I don't like it. because I just see tragedy in everyone's future in this show. I don't know who's gonna die, but I feel like a lot of people are probably gonna die, and I don't like them not getting along, because that man, does that, I know from experience how much like regret and resentment that causes when you're at odds with someone and then they pass away and you can't ever make it right. And so really hope they squash this beef between them before Dustin and or Steve gets whacked. But anyway, that's happening. Steve and Jonathan have a scene where Jonathan's like, hey, you need to back off. Like, she's with me, and you constantly being all chauvinistic and super manly and trying to, like, show me up all the time is getting really old and annoying. And Steve's like, well, you need to come to grips with the fact that y'all are done. Like, it's done. It's over. Y'all's relationship is dead in the water, and you have to know that. And so that was kind of weird. Both of them kind of like getting through to the other and kind of slapping some sense into the other with words, which is interesting. Murray, he's still around. He's smuggling goods into the town. He's got like a whole, he's just a comical smuggler is what he is. And I don't know if he's just like stopping at the local Home Depot, and just grabbing whatever random things he can get his hands on, because the stuff that he brings is laughable. And I guess it's stuff that they're requesting, but he shows up with some of the weirdest deliveries. But that's happening. That's funny. We find out that Vecna he's kidnapping kids, like little kids, for some reason. Kind of weird and random, and I'm still kind of on the fence about how I feel about it, because it's just like, why though? Especially because of like one of the final scenes in the 4th episode that I'll get to in a second. It's like, why are you doing this? I get that you have a plan and they're a part of it, but like, why though? Anyway, that's going on. The Resistance gets hip to it. They figure it out. That's what he's doing. They don't know why, but they know that Will can tap in and can kind of see things and feel things and this and that, and so they figure out kind of who Vecna's targeting, and so they start like rescuing kids. The military has already like kidnapped every small child in town and put them in like this like prison camp basically. And so anyway, the Resistance gang, they break up in there because they've got this whole underground system of tunnels that I guess at first I was like, how did they make all these tunnels? But then I was like, I guess they're the same tunnels that you know, that the Gate and Hive created in season 2 underneath the pumpkin patches and all of that stuff. I'm assuming it's the same tunnel system. I don't know. But anyway, they use that, get up in the military camp, prison camp, and they rescue a bunch of these kids. And they're gonna hoard these children and keep them away from Vecna. Well, doesn't work out too well. More on that here in a minute. So, let's see here. I don't want to leave any super important things out. Oh, there's a scene where they're in the hospital, you know, after Mrs. Wheeler just got whacked. And Nancy's there, and her and Mike want to go talk to her. And it seems like they're not so much concerned about her health or her well-being. Not really too worried about her at all. They're wanting to figure out the puzzle. They're wanting to figure everything out, and I guess they're wanting to save Holly But the nurse is like, you can't see your mom. She's barely clinging on to life. Also, her throat's been ripped out, so she can't talk. And Nancy's like, well, I don't take no for an answer. So they, like, I don't know if they knock out some hospital workers or what, but they dress up in like smocks and stuff and hospital gowns, and they sneak up in there in their mom's room, and they wake her up, and you know, she's like teetering on the edge of death, and Nancy's just like, hey mom, can you like write? Can you like tell us about Holly's little imaginary friend, because we're on the case and we got to figure this out and save the day. And no, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? How do you feel? Can I get you anything? No, it's just like, here, as she is barely conscious, they're shoving pens and notepads in her face, and they're like, here, write things down. It just seemed very narcissistic. But also, nobody asks about the dad. No one. I even forgot the dad existed, because I'm part of the problem. Like, I'm just as guilty as they are, but that's, you know, that's their father, and they could not care less. Nobody in this show gives a flip about Mr. Wheeler, and it's funny, but also really sad. Is he still alive? We don't know. Do we care? Probably not. But anyway, they did that, and she gave him some information, so they're, you know, that's how they're figuring out that Holly had been talking to this imaginary friend, and it was Henry, and Henry is Vecna, and that's how we learn that he's after the kids, and yada yada yada. Alright, so 11 and Hopper, they decide to go back to the main base of operations, where all of the army men are hanging out over here on the Upside Down, and they decide that they're hiding something there. There's something there, and they're using it to create these, whatever these kryptonite machines are that are nerfing 11's powers. So they form this plan that they're going to sneak up in there, and they're going to find, they're just completely convinced that it's Vecna, that the military has Vecna, and they're holding him prisoner at this place, and they're going to go up in there, and they're going to find him, and they're going to kill him, and they're going to put an end to all of this. Right? Right. So they're doing that on the Upside Down the same time that Mike and crew have snuck into the prison camp to save the children. This is when everything goes down, and it all goes down at the same time, which seems to be what this show does. Like, when shit hits the fan, it all hits the fan at once. Also, Steve and Jonathan and them, that whole crew, they drove their car through a gate that a Demogorgon opened. So they're over here on the Upside Down too, somewhere. I think maybe they got stalled out at the wall, but they're over here too. But yeah, so Hopper and 11 get up in this place. They take out some army men. They make it to this door that they need a security card. They need the right clearance to get through it. They need Sarah Connor, because she's like the head honcho of this place. She's calling all the shots. She'll have the clearance that they need to get through this door, because they are convinced that on the other side of the door is Vecna. They got to get in there, and they got to kill this guy. But about the time they find the door, we see that there's a bunch of those kryptonite gadgets all around the room. So they start going off, and they put 11 down, knock her out. She's flopping around on the floor like a fish out of water. And Sarah Connor shows up. There's a whole another shootout scene. Hopper gets the drop on Sarah Connor, gets her key, and I think he knocks her out. And then he picks 11 up, and he carries her over to a window, and he breaks the window, and he's like, get out of here. And And she's like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, whatever I have to. And 11 like unzips his jacket, and he's got like dynamite or like C4 or some sort of explosive strapped to his chest. And we're like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing a Bruce Willis at the end of Armageddon scene. We're not doing that. But he tells her to get out of here, and he turns around and he goes and swipes the card and opens the door and closes it, and 11's on the other side freaking out, and I may or may not be crying. I can't remember, but because I just know my boy Hopper's gonna die. I know, like I just know. Just so you know, Hop's gonna die. I'm saying it now. I don't want it to happen, but it's gonna happen. But we hop back over to the real world where Mike is trying to, and Mike and his crew's trying to sneak these kids out of this prison camp as the Demogorgons show up, and they start killing everybody, and there's a whole, like, war going on. There's gunshots and flamethrowers and shit's hitting the fan in every direction, and he's trying to sneak them out of here, and Will starts freaking out because he's tapped into all of this. And yeah, that's when things happen. The big gate right there, we see a shadowy silhouette of something approaching, and it walks through, and there he is. He's here. It's V, and this is the scene that gives me Hellraiser vibes, because he just comes strolling up in here like he could not be bothered to care about anything. These guys start shooting at him and everything, and he kills everybody. He straight up Darth Vader's people, and his weird Freddy Krueger claw arm extends, and he tears a dude in half, and he kills everybody. Joyce, mothers, you gotta love them, but man, they can be stupid. She bows up to him like she's gonna do something, and he just completely backhands her 500 yards through the air, and yeah, he's putting the hurt on everybody, and he walks up to Will, and he Darth Vader mind powers him up into the air, and he walks up to him and close enough to give him a big wet smooch, but he's just like, it's the children. I'm using them to, I don't know if he's going to build an army or what's going on, but he's like, you were the first, and you were so easy. You were so quickly and easily broken, and just talk some real psychological smack to him. And he's basically just like, you were a guinea pig, I used you, and just kind of doesn't see him as a threat at all, and just kind of whatever, lets him go, and he falls to his knees, and he starts walking away, and Demogorgons start climbing up through holes and cracks and coming out of the woodwork, and they're all about to whack everybody, all the gang. Mike, Luke, I think Lucas is there, I don't know, they're about to just get him. One of them's jumping through the air about to claw Mike's head off, and Will does like a whole Neo moment in the Matrix. He's just like, he stands up and he just starts doing some crazy Pied Piper puppet master stuff, holds his hand out and stops this Demogorgon dead in its tracks, and he holds this hand out and stops a different Demogorgon dead in its tracks, and he stops them all, and he holds his hands up like some sort of symphony composer, does one of these, they all float up in the air, and he does some sort of hand gesture, and they all snap like twigs, just like all the victims did in season 4, all the ones that Vecna Freddy Krueger to open his gates, just levitates them, breaks all their arms and legs and necks, and just snaps them all like twigs, and they all fall and hit the ground, and everybody's just looking at Will like, oh shit, Will has powers. Wait, what? How? and what and why and how a few more times, and then he's got a little trickle of blood coming out of his nostril, and we roll credits. And that's where we end this first batch of episodes. So we're left with a lot to ponder. Oh, also, Hopper went through the door, right? We thought he was going to blow himself up. Well, he comes back through the door shortly after. Just opens the door, comes walking back out, and takes 11. And they go walking up in there. And she goes in this room, and who's hanging there? It's not Vecna. It's 8. Remember 8? Probably not, because she was like in one episode of this entire series. The episode Sister, where in season 2, where 11 goes for a fun little road trip and goes and hangs out with one of the kids that managed to escape, number 8. And she's got like weird illusory powers. Yep, it's her. She's just, she's strapped and hanging there in the middle of the room. And barely recognize her because she's got a buzz cut. But, yep, it's her. And apparently they're somehow using her to make these weird kryptonite machines. I don't know. And I don't know how to feel about them bringing her back. And in some ways I'm like, yes, make it make sense. Make her character mean something. Otherwise, what was the point? I have been so angry all this time about that episode in season 2 because the season opens with her. That's how the first episode of season 2 starts, with that character. And they make it look like it's going to be a big deal. This character is going to matter. She's going to do some stuff. And then we don't see her again until that episode where 11 goes on her little adventure. And we get that one episode, and then 11 pieces out and goes back to Hawkins, and we hadn't seen her since. They've not even mentioned her since. There's like one throwaway line in season 4 where Henry's talking to little bitty 11, and he's telling her something, and he's like, that's when 8 was still here. That's the only mention that we had of that character. And so all this time I've just been like, why? What was the point of even introducing that character and then doing nothing with her? So, cool. They're going to do something with her. They're going to make it matter. They're going to make it make sense. But also, I, on the flip side, feel like they're just doing that because they know that they kind of screwed the story up with her. That they hadn't done anything with her. That it was very weird and felt like out of place. I don't know. But she's back, and cool, you know, maybe they'll do something. I don't feel like we need more characters in this story that's just plenty busy enough already. But she's here, and hopefully they explain it and they make it matter, and cool. Also, let's not forget, Hopper's still got that explosive device strapped to his chest, just in case. Just in case you forgot, he's still got it. So, just saying. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. The first part. This will be a 3-parter. We get the next batch of episodes on Christmas in a couple of weeks. So I'll come back and I'll do a rundown of that. I'm going to hold off on my ranking, where I want to rank this final season until it's all out and I've seen it all and I've had time to like really sit with my thoughts and think on it. I might need to watch it all the way through a couple of times to really give it a good ranking as to where it belongs compared to all the other seasons. But so far, I'm in. It's lots of action, lots of good character moments, lots of good storytelling. It's my probably only criticism so far is this like little kid stuff, because it's like his whole goal in season 4 was killing these 4 victims to open these 4 gates to make a breach big enough for him to escape the Upside Down and come through to our world. I assume to just destroy everything. I don't know. But his whole goal was to get here. He can do that now. Because he walks straight up in here, slaps everybody around, talks some shit to Will, and pieces out and leaves. So I'm like, what are you doing? What is what is your goal, V? What are you up to? And what's with the little kids? That's my only complaint. And I'm sure they'll make sense of it. But yeah, that's where I'm at. But yeah, good times. Great stuff. Can't wait for more. I'm just psychologically, mentally, and emotionally trying to prepare myself for a lot of death. I'm trying to, that's kind of how I prefer to approach life, is lowest expectations possible. Expect the absolute worst, so that if it doesn't go that way, it's a pleasant surprise. But if it does go that way, you've kind of prepared yourself for it. You're kind of ready for it if you expect it. It'll still hurt, but maybe I'll be able to go on and live my life afterwards. It's going to be rough. Going to be rough, folks. But we'll get through it together. That's going to do it for now. Come back and join me for the next one, but until then, we'll catch you later.